Götze, Lewandowski, Gundogan, Mkhitaryan, Hummels, Pulisic, Aubameyang, Dembele, Sancho, Haaland, Bellingham. These are just a few of the great players that all have one major thing in common. Not only did they play for Borussia Dortmund, but they also got to play alongside one of the greatest icons in the world of football, Marco Reus. Now, Marco Reus has been there for countless years now, well over a decade. Marco Reus has always been a constant at Borussia Dortmund for supporters like myself, to where we know his loyalty is unmatched and like no other. Because all those players' names that I riddled off, all of them have come and gone at one point or another. Some have returned, such as Mats Hummels and this season, Jadon Sancho. But Marco Reus's loyalty to the club never wavered a second, which is why in today's day and age, he's kind of become the logo for the word loyalty, especially in the world of football. Because I guarantee you, if you look up the word loyalty within the dictionary, you might just find a picture of Marco Reus. What he's gone through as a player and person throughout the years is absolutely incredible, whether it had been injuries or just falling short with winning the Bundesliga title, which unfortunately he never achieved with Borussia Dortmund. Which for someone that grew up playing in the youth setup for Borussia Dortmund, that definitely stings a little bit. Now, Marco Reus throughout the years has played for a couple different clubs. Like I said, he started playing in the academy for Borussia Dortmund at a young age. But then he ended up getting himself a move to another youth academy, which that club was Rot-Weiss Allen. He would end up developing and eventually impressing at the senior level, where he would earn himself a move to Borussia Mönchengladbach. And at that club, that is where everything really took off for Marco. Everyone really started to kind of realize, all right, this kid is a really special playmaker. He can also score goals, and he is a magician on set pieces. Which that grabbed the attention of a very legendary manager by the name of Jurgen Klopp at Borussia Dortmund. So they decided, we're going to bring this kid in for around 17 million euros and see what he can do for us. Well, needless to say, he would end up being a major key part of that club and city for a long time to come, especially in that first season, being part of a side that ended up going to the Champions League final, unfortunately losing out to Bayern Munich. That following season was the year of the World Cup, which we all know Germany went on to win. But unfortunately, however, Marco Reus was not a part of that squad due to missing out on injury. So he could have had a World Cup to his name, but unfortunately missed out because of an injury. Now fast forward a couple seasons, and he is losing incredible teammates left, right, and center. One of the biggest hits that was taken to Dortmund was when they lost Robert Lewandowski to rival Bayern Munich, which that move made it even harder for Borussia Dortmund to get near winning a Bundesliga title. And throughout Reus's time at Dortmund, one thing that they were very good at, and still are very good at, is producing young talents and helping nurture and develop them, and eventually they do usually move on. And some of those players that he got to kind of show them the ropes as they developed at Borussia Dortmund were players like Christian Pulisic, Jadon Sancho, Ousmane Dembele, as well as the likes of Erling Haaland and Jude Bellingham, which in that time they would have one major triumph, especially with the likes of having all these youngsters come through. And that was winning the DFB Pokal, which thanks to Marco being such a loyal servant to the club, it was a major achievement in his career, which was a major achievement for Borussia Dortmund as well, because that was one more trophy that they could have that Bayern Munich could not. But like I've said, there's a pattern. A lot of these talents come and go. That's happened with plenty of players over time at multiple clubs, but none more so than Borussia Dortmund. And one major hit to the hopes of Borussia Dortmund being able to compete for a title at one point was the departure of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The duo of Reus and Aubameyang were known as Batman and Robin. They were incredible together, with the goal scoring ability between them and the creative output between them as well. But Arsenal came calling, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang answered. Flash forward a couple seasons, and that same exact thing happens again. But this time, Erling Haaland leaving to Manchester City. Erling Haaland, as we all know, is basically a robot that plays football. He is automatic when it comes to scoring goals, and he was a big time impact to where potentially Borussia Dortmund could dethrone Bayern Munich. Unfortunately, however, that was not meant to be. As we all know, Erling Haaland is now at Manchester City. However, something very interesting happened that season after he ended up leaving. Borussia Dortmund had an unbelievable season with Marco Reus still at the club, and they almost won the league. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be because there was a little bit of a collapse at the end of the season, which me, as a supporter of Borussia Dortmund, had me in shambles. And what do you know? At the end of that season, they lose another incredible talent by the name of Jude Bellingham, this time to Real Madrid. And once again, there was one constant at the club: Marco Reus and his loyalty to a fault to the yellow wall. And that brings us to current day, where this season has been very, very rocky. It has not been easy by any terms of the imagination for Borussia Dortmund, especially domestically. However, they struck magic within the Champions League. For whatever reason, they have had an incredible campaign within Europe. And one man that has made an impact once again the entire time is none other than Marco Reus. And honestly, what makes this season even more that little bit more special is that this is going to be Marco Reus' last season with Borussia Dortmund. And he will get to play his final game with the club in a Champions League final, which oddly enough will be at the very same ground that he ended up losing his first Champions League final, and that is none other than Wembley. However, this time, they take on former player Jude Bellingham and Real Madrid in this Champions League final. Sometimes you really can't write anything better than a player like Marco Reus being loyal to a club basically his entire career, or at least the vast majority of it, and being able to play in the biggest game of the year in his final game with the club. And if Marco Reus does get that fairy tale ending by being able to lift the Champions League title, it really does show that loyalty does pay off. After 626 games, 238 goals, 162 assists, Marco Reus will have one final game to play in the Champions League final for Borussia Dortmund, which could see him get that fairy tale ending. For someone that has shown loyalty like he has, been at the top level of the game to the point to where he is recognized as one of the best players of all time, this man definitely deserves to lift the Champions League. But even if Marco Reus doesn't get that fairy tale ending, he's shown us that loyalty is a rare thing in life now. But I know that I speak for all of us in that we appreciate someone like Marco Reus who's literally willing to do anything and everything to just bring one major trophy to a club that he loves so much. So hopefully, come June 1st, we get to see Borussia Dortmund finally lift that trophy that Marco Reus and the club and city and fan base as a whole so rightly deserve. So Marco, my hat is off to you. A living legend, an icon of not only just German football, but the world of football. And also, being the player that made me fall in love with the beautiful game, thank you very much. But now, it's all down to Marco Reus and the yellow wall. See if they can get that job done at Wembley one last time. So, very different video here on the channel, as y'all can tell. I'm going to start doing more IRL videos like this here on the channel. I really enjoy doing them. Definitely want to do something paying homage to the career that Marco Reus has had with Borussia Dortmund. So if you guys all did enjoy, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? Also, I have done another video kind of like this, except it is kind of analyzing the move of Arne Slot to Liverpool. I'll be popping that video up on screen right now if you guys would like to check it out for yourselves. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.